days ago that he saw.
All right. Hello, everybody that's here so far. We are now live on Facebook. Hello, Dave. How are you? Well said. Very well said. Love it. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Unmute yourself, darling. Just to hit the space bar.
Better?
There you go. Now there's a voice. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. It's amazing what happens when you read the directions.
You know what? I said the same thing when I was trying to teach Mark how to cook a frozen pizza.
You're supposed to cook them?
Only if you really want to digest it easier. You can have it. It's like a pizza sickle.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a pizza pop.
Who doesn't? Yeah, right? It's just so refreshing. Speaking of refreshing, Carlos, you do look like you had some rest. Hello. You look a little slimmer through here. It's also Dancer Black. That does work for us, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And of course, here we've got Derek hiding in the corner. He's here with me, so it's fine. That's why we're the same color wall. You know, it makes sense. We like a balance on the screen.
Same design.
Yeah. I would have known I was going to be in a meeting. I probably would have shaved today.
Well, I don't judge you. It's COVID. We call it quarantine hygiene. Everything's just kind of thrown by the wayside. So how are you doing over there in your neck of the woods?
Not bad so far. Looking at trying to maybe pick up some multifamilies here in the next month or two. See what we can do from there.
We're going to be doing multifamilies on Wednesday on our talk. We're going to have Peter Medalik here. He's going to be talking about how he and Eva went from buying single-family homes into multifamily and portfolios.
Yeah. And
the pandemic, which is really cool.
yeah. And the other thing we're looking at is our kids are moving up to Colorado Springs. So we're going to have a set of eyes and ears in Colorado Springs around the Air Force Academy and Fort Carson. And I think there's another Air Force base there.
Well, we can get you in touch with Jessica Laney. She's actually our eyes and ears in Colorado Springs. She actually is military and just moved up there. Bought her first investment property out there.
Well, that'll be cool.
See what happens? You're part of a community and you participate. Things can happen, honey. Don't try to do it on your own.
Yeah, no, I learned that the hard way. So.
Hello, Nelson. How are you, handsome? Space bar. We've discussed.
I'm doing well. My brother is going in for surgery this Friday, so I'm going to be spending time with him on Thursday, so I might be in and out. But he'll be in the ICU for 3 or 4 days, and then he's in Sacramento. So over the next month, I'll be back and forth between San Jose and Sacramento.
Well, we are sending him our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Mike, how you feeling there, buddy? That's right. Just keep touching the screen like that. That helps.
It always does.
Right? Yeah.
I got shit all over my hands.
Yeah. Well, that's not good.
That's why I washed mine. It also is the best way of preventing corona.
Yeah.
Anyway, so how else are you doing?
Good. Getting healthier and got a lot of work lined up.
See, that's not a bad thing at all. Oh, speaking of the devil herself, Dave, you're going to meet Jessica in just a second. Our eyes nearest in Colorado Springs. Give her a second to get on. We're going to go back to talking to Mike for a second. How much work do you got lined up, buddy?
Doing an 1,800 square foot tile basement myself right now.
Well, that sounds like fun.
So that's
like real work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of floor.
Yeah, it is.
Well, next time I have to remodel a dungeon, I'll invite you over. It'll be much more convenient. Yeah. I have a vision of like torches and chains, maybe some rubber, but I don't know where, just as accents. You never quite know these days.
It's all about the accessories.
Yes, you want to make sure you accessorize appropriately.
Yeah,
Jessica, that's
Jacob,
right.
Jacob. You don't want a hard tile floors in a dungeon. You got to have that foamy stuff to pad the knees.
Yes, exactly, for the knees. But it also has to have one of those, has to be solid enough so it's not too absorbent. You know what I mean? You don't want
muffling the screams.
In there. That's a biohazard.
It's about muffling the screams.
What was that?
Muffling the screams. You have to have the padded floor.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's all you got. Just use a high quality ball gag, people.
Yeah,
That's
ball gags.
And it's portable.
Crosses, staking benches. Maybe some like, accessories on the wall to, like, you can like hang some toys.
This is absolutely the wrong crowd for me to start goading that topic with. So Jessica, Dave is actually looking at properties in Colorado Springs and he needs someone with boots on the ground. Oh my God. Aren't you so glad we made this introduction?
I don't know. It's something about networking.
I know, right? It's the benefit
What
of
is
the community.
networking?
Yeah,
Networking.
it's
What
ABC, NBC, CBS, networking.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Fox News. Oh,
Yeah.
oh God, no.
Oh dear Jesus.
I know.
I need some.
Oh no, we're talking about real networking, not fake networking.
Yeah.
Womp womp, which is why we're here on Investor Party. So we got some special things we're going to be doing today, including I think I might have Salvador might be stopping on later. He was actually, I think you might know him, Anita. He's he was a student when I was a student, and how they've had to progress in their business and what's going on with COVID, which is really cool. Wouldn't be very long if he does interject. But the whole point of our call today is we're going to be doing live market analysis. So to head us in this, I'm going to invite Miss Anita Winkles, our chief expert here, to join us in just a moment and tell us what's going on, and we're all going to be doing this together. So for those of you who've not done a virtual market analysis, we've got some of our real estate survivor contestants here to help us and guide us along the process. Now, I'm really excited about this. You just can't tell because my disc board's real strong, so I had to move my eyebrows manually. So happy. See that? Yeah. Welcome to Botox. Anyway, Boca Talks, Florida. Anyway, we're moving on. So, Anita, my dear, tell us about this opportunity that presented itself and how you came to it.
Well, it came to us. So in East Texas, where I grew up and where we have a lot of our rental properties at, I'm still connected with quite a few friends via social media. And this is the importance too, guys, of posting up periodic posts up something that you've got going on, or a project you got going on, or what have you. Because of my post and them seeing what we're doing with real estate, whenever this credit union foreclosed on this house, they called and they were like, hey, we got this house that we foreclosed on. It's not on the market yet. We want to give you first option to take a look at it and see if it's something that you're interested in. Okay.
Wait a minute.
So
let's talk
this
about
property is absolutely a very, what?
But let's touch on that for a second, because I want that to really sink in for the three people that are on this call on Facebook, so they can actually see. I don't even know how many we have on Facebook right now. I should really. I think we got. I don't know. So that's not the point. So let's talk about that. You said you were posting about it, correct?
Right. So, periodically we'll post up. Like this past week, I think I posted like 2 or 3 pictures with really short videos. Any of you that follow me on Facebook, seeing that I posted a picture or a little short video of Sam demoing a fireplace at one of the houses that we're remodeling, and I posted on there. I was like, there's nothing sexier than a man doing demo. Right. And so, post up just a couple of pictures here and there. But because of the post that kept the top of my awareness, one of the VPs at this credit union is a friend of mine on Facebook. And she reached out and she says, hey, we've got this house we just foreclosed on. She says, if you think you're interested in it, I'll send you the information on it. And, I'll get you in to take a look at it. So they have not even listed this property yet. It is not on the market.
That is fabulous. So notice how how her marketing her business, doing what she does, she didn't do anything more than she does every day. She was already demoing her property. She was keeping her database informed of what her progress was in a very casual, social way. And that led to an opportunity for her because of who she's put and attracted into her social media database. So the VP was a friend of hers, which is why she reached out directly to Anita. Anita's Facebook and Sam's Facebook social media accounts are all about building credibility. They're very, very, very streamlined. Anything that is controversial, they typically send in a private message. But when they are actually doing something, I mean, that's fair enough to say, don't you think, Anita? So when they go out there and they actually use
Yeah,
that
you know,
platform,
every now and then it's a little delayed. I was gonna say
right,
every now and then, you know, I post real life stuff, you know, and sometimes it's a little controversial or it might be a little bit political, but for overall, I try to stay away from so much of that and post things that are uplifting or post things that lead people to, you know, kind of understand about what it is that we do. We've gotten private money lenders from posting on social media before too. But guys, I want you guys to understand something. We don't even do business with this credit union. It's not one of the banks that we do business with.
so this isn't the one that you're on the board of.
Correct. We don't even have an account at this particular institution.
So they saw that you were doing something in that area and reached out to you to say, hey, we got a property, we haven't started the foreclosure process, it's off market, do you want it? And now you're going to go ahead and determine if you do want it. Oh my God. So let's talk, Anita, darling. What criteria do you need to find out to determine if you want this property or not?
Well, we need to know, first off, what would it logically sell for and sell for quickly? Okay, so here's the facts that we do know. That this property was on the market about a year ago, and it was listed for $365,000, and they didn't even get anyone looking at the property at that price point. Okay, so we know that that price point, even though it falls in what the value of the property would be for the size of the property, because it is a big house, nonetheless, they were pricing themselves out of the market because no one was interested in at that price point. What eventually ended up happening is the couple ended up divorced and they just let the house go back to the bank. Okay. Whenever I asked the bank or asked the lady at the bank, I said, so what do you guys need to make you whole? And what you mean, I'm talking their jargon. Okay. So what that means is basically, what do you need for the bank to clear what the outstanding amounts on the loan and all expenses associated with foreclosure? And sometimes they'll answer that, sometimes they won't. In this case, they did not answer that. She just said, well, she says, if we end up having to list it with a real estate agent, she goes, we're going to list it for $265,000. Okay. So what she's telling me basically is if they list it at $265,000, they're planning on paying a 6% commission. They're going to have closing costs, right? They'll probably have a budget factored in there for repairs. Okay. And they are probably factoring in a little bit of wiggle room for negotiations. So, you know, just off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, they'll probably take around 200, 225 is what I'm thinking. Now, we also have to take into account what is it going to take to put this house in best condition and what price point will it actually sell for. Okay. So any of you that's in the Texas tribe, I sent out a link to a 20-minute video that I uploaded on YouTube of the property. And anybody else that wants to see that, I'd be happy to post it up in the chat. You know, so you can go take a look at that. But nonetheless, I know that for this house to sell quickly, it's probably going to need it's going to need some updating. It's not in bad shape at all, but it's going to need some updating. Some modifications made to it, and we're probably going to have
that to be.
Well, the big factor is, and when you watch the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. The big factor is they enclose the 2-car garage, and it's a whole separate wing to the house. So in that market, it not having a garage actually is a huge drawback that would prevent the house from selling. Okay, so essentially what needs to happen to give it the best marketability is that needs to be converted back to a 2-car garage. So that's the big question mark there. What is it going to take to get this house back to a 4, 3.5 with a 2-car garage? So the 2-car garage, I'm just off the top of my head thinking it's kind of probably going to run somewhere between $20,000 and $35,000 just to convert the garage, just to put a garage back in this house. Okay. That's going to be the biggest single expense. Everything else is just little minute, touch-ups, details, some paint. The only actual safety hazard that I seen with this property actually was the banister. There's like a little balcony area overlooking the living space, and I'm only 5'5", and it doesn't even come up to my hip. Somebody could tumble over the side of that and fall down to the floor story really quickly. Okay, so that needs to be removed and replaced. Other than that, from a safety standpoint, everything's good. I think the air conditions probably need to be serviced. The backyard needs a lot of cleanup. That's the other disadvantage with this property, is it is very much a family style house, but it hardly has any yard whatsoever. Okay, and it's on a sloped lot as well, so it doesn't have much usable yard. So that's going to be a bit of a drawback. So whenever you start taking in the factors of to play it, all right, so you're probably going to knock 10, 20 grand off of that, whatever you think the ARV is, just to accommodate for the lack of space. Right? If you didn't turn it back into a 2-car garage, you're probably going to have to take a chunk off to make it more appealing. So if you kind of left the house as is and just went out and kind of cleaned it up, touched it up, take care of the one thing I've seen that was a safety issue with it, you're probably going to have to be under $200,000 on your ARV to move the house quickly. Okay, so from what I'm estimating, and I like to use REI Black Book whenever I'm running numbers on these type of property deals, because it'll allow me to play around with the numbers. So from what I'm estimating that let me flip over here, see if I have that open still. Analyzer, I'm gonna get my analyzer here. So I'm estimating, of course, I've got to nail down all the details on the expenses. We just looked at this property yesterday. So I got to nail down all the details on the expenses, but I'm going probably well on the high end is like, okay, what if somebody put $60,000 into this property, right? If you put $60,000 into the property, it would make sense to buy the property at $200,000, and I'm estimating that you could sell it fairly quickly at $325,000 with the garage conversion. That's why I'm going high on my initial repairs, is because that garage conversion is going to be a beast to tackle. Okay, so but the true ARV on this house is probably about $350,000, right? Okay. So why do you guys think that I would call it, say, hey, if we're going to get this house, put 60 grand into it, 40 to 60 grand into it, let's just always estimate on the high end. What would I anticipate on selling it for $325,000 if the true ARV on the house is going to be $350,000? What do y'all think that is?
Class, discuss, watch. I mute myself.
To move it quickly. Why hold on to, it's going to cost you money to hold it.
Exactly. Because in that particular market, this house is very large for what the typical family is looking for. Okay. So you're going to have a limited pool of buyers as it is. So you're going to have to price the house at a price point to where somebody who thought that they could afford a 2,500 square foot house goes, oh my God, for the same price, I could have 4,700 square feet, right? Yeah. So and I'm going to go into it with the equity position in it too. It's I get in it. Make sense?
I want to say yes. There was a little bit of a breakup there. Are you driving through a storm system?
No, actually, we just pulled back up at the RV. Sam with the truck running for me, so I'm sitting here in the air conditioner while I let out the dog. So maybe I get out of the truck, it'll help.
So for those of you who don't know, Anita is a homeless real estate investor.
I got to jump off the cliff. I got to jump off the cliff here.
And you're going to find it's a feather bed. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ish.
I am a homeless real estate investor.
Isn't that great? I've been there.
Yes.
Totally been there. So they're remodeling a home they're going to be moving into. So currently they're staying in an RV and they are loving it. Actually, it's been quite an adventure for them. So
there we go. I'm living in 250 square feet right there. Yep.
So that's just a tiny home waiting to happen.
Yeah, pretty much. But you know, the great thing is it's like right through there is the lake where my boat is parked in the marina. So I can go jump on the boat and just go for a cruise.
Okay, I think she's on top of it. Okay, so what we're going to do now, class, for those of you who are in Real Estate Survivor, raise your hand. You can also hit it on your Zoom call. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Michael, you're still part of it. You're not participating. So then James, okay, good. So, and then there's Bo who's busy, watching porn beside me. It's what he does. So anyway, we're gonna go back. Hey, Mary. So,
What a face, Bo. Yes, that's it.
no, only one
And
thing.
he's only right there. Like,
Thank you. That was special. I didn't blow my nose for that, so good luck. You might want to get the hand
you got
sanitizer.
pizza pepperoni on your face. Too.
Oh, it's not vegan, you ass man. It's gonna make me break out. Yeah. Now back to being professional-ish. Profession-ish.
When
For those of you who are in Real Estate Survivor, you are going to be helping us lead this discussion on finding the market research for this property. Okay? So, Stephanie, are you there? There you are, my dear. What aspect would you like to take on for this property? Would you like to look at the comps? Would you like to look at the neighborhood? Would you like to look at the numbers? What would you like? What do you feel most comfortable doing?
Numbers.
Numbers.
Day.
Okay, well, that's going to be her. Congratulations. Numbers are going to be with you and Jessica. Jessica, you and Stephanie are going to be on the team running the numbers. Now, Pamela, you are obviously talented at looking at market knowledge, so you're going to be doing that. You're going to be looking at that with Bo, all right? Dave, you're going to be joining Pamela and Bo as well. That's all right. I'm not either. I'm here in Florida. We're going to do it together. It's all the same skill. It's fine. Okay, that's good. Just follow Pam. She's got you. Now, for those of you who don't know, Texas is very, very private, as in the ownership info is not readily available for the public. You actually have to be licensed to get the sales price and data price like that. But this is why we have Anita, who's here to help you with that. So keep that in mind with the numbers and the market knowledge. Now, for the rest of you who are involved, you are going to be doing other updates that go with this. So, Anita, what other things do you need to know so you can feel like you can make the most appropriate offer?
What kind of things do I need to know to make the most appropriate offer? Well, first off, one of the things that would be great to know is if somebody would go and do some digging and estimating about what do you think the loan balance was. Calculate up how much do you think these people owed on the house when they foreclosed on it? Because that tells you how much negotiating room that you got with the financial institution, right? So if we estimate how much was owed on the property at the time of foreclosure, and we know if it's been foreclosed on, they were probably with this credit union, they were probably at least 6 months behind, right? So they probably hadn't made a payment in 6 months prior to foreclosure. So we can get a good ballpark area of how much is owed on the property. Then, right, we can add on some for the credit union's legal costs in foreclosure, and we can come up with an estimate on what does it need to make the credit union whole to cover the cost of the property, okay? So that is going to be the biggest factor here. The other thing is, and I posted a link up to the YouTube video. So the other thing is you guys, you can look at the YouTube video, and I'm kind of talking my way through it. And it's just a rough cell phone video, so don't judge. But anyway, you can look at the video and kind of think to yourself, hey, if this house was going to be fixed up and resold, what needs to be done to it? What do you think it's going to cost to basically remedy or put the property in best condition for resale? Because when somebody's buying a property in that price point, they can afford the payment, maybe they got the down payment, their closing costs, but they don't have a bunch of extra cash sitting around to go in and do fix up and repair work and things like that, right? So keep that in mind as you look at that video, and do an estimate. What do you think the repair work's going to be? I just threw out the ballpark just for some rough figures of $60,000 probably on the higher end. Do I think it's going to take that much? Yeah, it might not take that much, but watch the video, kind of figure out, what do you think it's going to take? Okay. What do you think it's going to take to be able to put the house in best resale value?
Well, this
Also, another thing to keep in mind with this keep in mind with this property, okay, that this is a very nice part of town. So the city that this property is in is a city of probably about 30,000 people, and there's a lot of attorneys, business owners, a lot of blue collar workers as well, a lot of doctors. There's a big hospital for that area there in that town. Okay, now the doctors, this is what I've heard, these are some things to keep in mind about the market too. I heard that there was quite a few doctors that lived over in the country club on the other side of town that got pissed off at the country club. So they have actually moved down to the end of the same street this house is on, and basically the locals around there, they call it Doctor Circle because it's a street and it has a cul-de-sac at the end, and there's all newer construction homes that's been built within the last several years, big stately homes down at the end of the street. This house was part of the original neighborhood. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind too with this, and whenever you're thinking, oh, how would the numbers play out, or what would you want to do to this house? You want to keep costs low, I'll tell you that, because another trend that they're seeing in that area is there's more and more people selling their houses on these, lot block neighborhoods in town, and they're moving outside of town and buying houses with 5, 10, 15 acres to get out in the country where they can grow a garden and this, that, and the other because of COVID. And I've seen, there's been shortages of meat, there's been shortages of fresh vegetables in the store, the supply chain being disrupted. Toilet paper. And folks are moving, that's the trend that they're seeing. There's more people that can afford to move, that are selling their houses in town and moving outside of town where they can have a little acreage. Okay, so keep that in mind too. All right, because remember, the ARV on this house is probably going to be closer to 350, or maybe could even be as high as 375 in the right market. But we got some weird things going on in this climate. So whenever take into account that if there's some weird things going on in the climate, and let's say, hey, this patch of flooring doesn't match this other patch of flooring, what do you want to do with it? It's like, would you rip up all the flooring, replace it also, it'll match, or would you find a workaround that would cost you maybe a few $100s? Okay, so when you watch the video, pay attention to those sort of things as well. Because in a market where the house would sell for 350 to 375, you would probably want, hey, let's just rip out this room and this room and just put flooring that all matches into all of those rooms. But we're not necessarily in a climate where that's going to happen, right? So keep these things in mind whenever you go through this video. Don't just listen to what I say as you go throughout the video. Actually look at what's in the video, because you might see something I didn't see, right? A second set of eyes, you might see something that I didn't see. Does this make sense?
Yes, we are. Yes, this does make sense. Classes make sense to you, Stephanie? Yes, wonderful. And I hide my reactions by having my forehead frozen with botulinum toxin. Thank you. In the meantime, I'm just trying to hear it through that crackling. So, continuing. So now what we're going to do a little challenge. We've divided you guys up into groups. If you have not been assigned a group, you can choose which one to go into. You're gonna go watch the video on YouTube right now, and we are going to start doing your analysis. You have 10 minutes. That's it.
It's a 20-minute video.
It's a 20.
Figure it out.
So we got to watch it at high speed.
That's all you gotta do.
Okay.
I don't know. All right, fine. I'll give you 24 minutes. How about that? But we're actually going to be doing that more as we get going. So remember, we're dividing and conquering, which is the benefit of having a community. So for those of you who are doing the number side, or trying to find the mortgage, you have to look at the video to determine, to see what you need to find for the mortgage balance? No, you got to look at the bank data, right? If you're going to be looking for the repairs, do you have to look at the video? Yes, because you have to see the state of the condition of the property. If you're looking at the macro and you're trying to see what the neighborhood looks like, do you need that? No, you just got to get onto Google Maps, get your little yellow man and have him walk down the street to see what's going on. So you can see what's going on in that area and research it with Zillow. So that's where you're going to be going. Not everyone has to do the same task. That is what slows everyone down when they try to do everything on their own. So divide and conquer. If you were doing the mortgage numbers, raise your hand. That'd be Stephanie and Jessica. Okay, Stephanie and Jessica, you're the two that are doing that. If you're doing the macro vision, that would be.
Did you say mortgage numbers, like just to come up? Did you say mortgage numbers or just overall numbers, like what we think it is going to take to repair?
Anita has asked for the mortgage numbers for her analysis, so it's going to take a little bit of digging. So you guys are going to be doing the mortgage numbers.
Oh, mortgage. Yeah. Okay. What's the address? Oh.
It's in the chat, so you guys can actually see how delinquent the unhappy couple was. Okay. Now Pam, Dave, and Bo are looking at the macroeconomics. Carlos, go ahead and join them there. Nelson, we're joining Stephanie and Jessica on the mortgage nonsense, and then Michael, Jamie, and Derek, you guys are going to start looking at rental comps in the area so you can know what's going on. You want to know what's going on in the area for rental comps. Now, that being said, after all that is said and done, we're going to go and look at the state of the property, and we're going to say what we would come up with as far as analysis. At least now you understand where you're going. So if you look in the chat box, everybody see the chat box? There's the address. You guys have software, correct? Good. We're going to go ahead and see how I can break you guys out into rooms. Let's see. I don't know how to do that. I used to know how to do that. Breakout rooms. Here we go. Manually, 3. Create breakout rooms.
Dom is days on market, guys.
Love it.
I know Stephanie knows. But
So we got Anita is working with, well, she's everyone. So Bo is with Pam. Pam, who else is in your group? I can't see everything while I'm doing this. Pam, Bo,
Dave.
And is there anybody else?
I don't know, where's,
I think I did put Carlos in that group. Okay, got it. That's 1. Cool. That's room 1. Room 2, we have Derek. Who are you with, Derek, again?
Derek, Michael, and
Michael, Jamie. All right. And then you.
where'd Nelson go?
Nelson is in breakout room 3. All right. You guys have 20 minutes. Go. Now, for the rest of you who are here with me, we're going to talk about something else that is going on, so you have an understanding. We are actually currently doing a challenge within Investor Party, which is called the Real Estate Survivor. Real Estate Survivor is to teach people how to actually analyze properties, put deals under contract, and work as a team, because investing is a team sport. And that's what everybody needs to start understanding and what that means. Everybody gotta know. So they can actually see how it's so much easier when you have people doing this. So right now we're working on one deal. First, we've got 3 teams doing it, so it makes things a lot more cognitive and a lot more cohesive for them all, right? And now I've got 2 individuals here that are actually going off to work on their own places, because we are social distancing. We're wearing masks and everything right now. They're the clear ones that are what the same
Your favorite
material that Wonder Woman's Invisible Plane's made out of. It's great, right? It's everywhere. So we're also going to talk about some of the things we're looking at for right now in the stimulus package that's coming up. Today we have our, I think they're calling it their staff meeting between the Republicans and the Democrats to see what they're going to vote on and how. Example, when the $600 stimulus checks are going to be coming back out, or if not 600, what are they proposing? Democrats want it, Republicans don't, and then some Republicans want something that the other ones don't. It's just a big, well, we call it politics, correct? All right, so now, something I want you to understand. I was reading this fantastic article that, that Bo brought that I think is very, very important for you guys to know, which is going to make a bigger understanding of where this comes into place. Peter Schiff, who's an economist and a gold investor, is also on the, he is on the Real Estate Guys radio show. I think he's, Peter Schiff is on the Real Estate Guys radio show. Great podcast, by the way, if you haven't listened to it. Go ahead and go over there and listen to it now. It's fabulous. But he thinks that there's going to be a big problem with inflation coming up for the middle class. And if you have consumer debt and credit card debt or student loans, anything like that, as inflation rises, it becomes harder to pay your debts. So therefore, you're going to get suffocated unless you have assets. Now, why is that? Well, that's because as inflation goes up, rents go up. And if rents go up, those assets actually produce more cash flow because your expenses are fixed with the mortgage, all right? So that's really going on based on that. So who's really feeling the struggle there? Well, the renters. So the renters in your properties are gonna have a harder time keeping up with it if they have consumer debt. Something to take a note of when we're doing this. Now, one of the articles that I got was from businessinsider.com, loving this. There are a couple things I wanna talk about here. It talks about the fact that the US personal savings rate has leaped up to 20% from roughly 8% before COVID. Now, why is that? Well, frankly, we can't go out and do anything. So you're saving money on gas, you're saving money on going out and dining, you're saving money on drinking, although we have found ways to consume alcohol in my house. And we're having all this, the ability to save money that we didn't have before. Also, people are being extra cautious because they're losing their jobs thanks to COVID. Now, even though unemployment is getting better, it's still relatively high. So we have to be very mindful of it. It's still at record highs right now. It's going to be interesting to see how things shift because now that the virus is reporting fewer cases per day, and let's see if it sticks or it's going to spike back and forth. So keep that in mind. This is the thing. We are going into a lot of debt to keep the stimulus package going, all right? Now, Neil Kashkari, who is the head of the Fed, says that we will be able to pay off the debt once the economy resumes growth and Americans tap their savings. So even though you're able to save up to 20% where you were saving 8%, the government's expecting you to actually tap into that and not keep that savings in the interest of actually growing our national economy. I hope that feels like it's your responsibility, but as a consumer, that is what we look at, right? So, and they also think that a full economic rebound is unlikely without coronavirus containment or a vaccine. And it may be necessary for the US to undertake a month-long to 6-week lockdown to avoid another pandemic. Can you afford that? I know I don't want that. So let's go ahead and see what else we can do for it. Now, something that's interesting though that Neil Kashkari is, I never say his name right, Kashkari, talks about muting inflation right now to help it become more of a relief for the population, which means they're not going to try to raise inflation. They're also just going to keep printing this money out there without any value, but they're not going to raise inflation. So when things come out of this and they want you to spend all you've saved to the economy back going, well, that's when they're going to start raising interest rates again. You're going to start, inflation is going to come up again, which means your purchasing power is going to diminish again. So right now, if you're saving money, it's the best time to go in and buy assets. Go ahead and look for things in the stock market that you can go ahead and get into, or in real estate. Get your assets so you can actually increase your purchasing power. If you're looking at actually investing in the stock market, go ahead and take our new course, Stock Market Survivor. That's going to be starting next week, and you can go ahead and register at stockmarketsurvivor.com. 03AUG20.com. We're going to have that starting next week, being taught by Miss Emily Muri. Love her so much. She's brilliant. You're going to have a great time. You're going to learn a lot. Okay, if you're nervous about starting with stocks, that's how you do it. You're going to keep yourself together. Now, let's continue. They're not planning on raising interest rates until the end of 2022, and inflation projections continue to drift lower, leaving legislatures with another reason for spending on some relief measures. So they're trying to make it an incentive to make the parties actually come to an agreement to help save the American economy. Now, what's interesting about this is most people, if you weren't paying attention, you probably don't realize that the economy was already propped up on toothpicks. Yes, it looked great, it was all wonderful, it was all bolsterous, and everyone can say that, but it's not necessarily the case. You wanna make sure you're paying attention to what the market is doing and look at key performance indicators. Leanne. You wanna look at market indicators so you know where our economy is going and why. So, this is the thing that's interesting, and this is where I got a little concerned reading this article. Listen to this. Right now, the US can fund itself at very, very low rates. Congress should use this opportunity to support the American people and the American economy, because we will be able to pay off the debt after the economy resumes growth. Well, this assumes a couple of things. It assumes, one, that our economy is going to go back and continue to grow, which we all would love to have happen. Everyone loves an up economy. But what if it doesn't? Because that could also be the case, correct? So if we are, what I think they're really trying to do is take our indebtedness to other countries and minimize that so that our currency is a little more protected internally, all right? So that seems to make a little more sense. But we are trillions of dollars in debt, trillions of dollars in debt. If we are gonna have to pay that back when this is on a better economy, that's gonna take us even more work. So you're gonna have to find a way to either make more hours in the day to work to pay your taxes, or you're going to find better strategies to do that. One of the ways that you can look at that is actually by relocation. So if you live in California, for example, you pay roughly 51% in taxes to your government. So if you made $1 million, that means you're going to be spending $510,000 that year in taxes. And you're able to keep $490,000-ish, give or take, right? But if you move to Puerto Rico, where you pay 4 to 6%, and you make $1 million, that means you can keep $996,000 versus $996,000, and you pay $4,000 to the government, or so on and so forth. I might be getting my decimals mixed up. That happens a lot for me. But you want to understand that there's a difference in your strategy. Wherever you are, you need to be playing that for yourself to win. One of the things that frightens me is that what it looks like, one of the things that you're hearing behind the scenes are something called universal special drawing rights, okay? SDRs, special drawing rights. That's universal income. That is a global currency, okay? Special drawing rights have actually been mentioned in the elections so far this year. You want to watch what they're doing, because if it does what they're suspected to do, if the office does change, good or bad or otherwise, it just means a global currency, much like the euro, but for everybody. Now, how are they going to base that? Well, if they're already printing all this money in the US dollar, and they are trying to reduce inflation or mute inflation, I think that's a very interesting term, then what's going to happen to the dollar? It's going to be backed by what? Prayer at that point. But since we no longer have a gold standard, part of the SDRs is actually backed on some sort of tangible currency like gold. So be aware of what's going on with your gold prices right now and how much you are using to protect your purchasing power. Okay, now, the other thing I want to talk about is, how do you feel about the idea of going back on a lockdown for 4 to 6 weeks? I personally am not looking forward to it. I've been doing it with teenagers this entire time, and when we're all grounded, Daddy needs a drink, and I don't need my liver to go through that. So we're going to talk about that more as we go. But how do you feel? Are you ready for it? No one wants to go back and do that again. It's already hard. We're all still so wounded. But the Fed's reaction is people will be frustrated by it. But if we were to lock down hard for a month or 6 weeks, we could get the case count down so that our testing and our contact tracing was actually good enough to control it the way it's happening in the Northeast right now. Interesting thought process. Don't know if I feel comfortable with that. Don't know how much of it I am personally subscribing to, but it's interesting to see what you guys are thinking. So, Leanne, I believe you're the only one in here with me. I have read in their breakout rooms. So, Michael's here too. Hello, and Michael's here as well. So I got the Michael, and the Leanne. What do you guys make of this potential second lockdown? Anybody? Jay, I'm glad you're excited. Come on, let's have some fun. We're gonna love Star Market Survivor. So much fun. So, Michael.
Okay. Yes.
What do you think? What are you making of this?
I mean, from what aspect? Just like from an investor point of view, a political point of view, the
all of this.
humanity point of view?
From a personal point of view, the idea of being locked up for 4 to 6 weeks. How do you feel about that?
I think it's needed. I think yeah, I think it's a small sacrifice in the scope, the globe of time. It's a very insignificant amount of time to try to get things back to normal. You know, I personally believe we opened up too soon. I think we may be in a better position right now had we just waited a little bit longer the first time.
So I personally think that if we did have another lockdown, as far as a individual is concerned, it does make it easier if you do have kids, because you need someone else to tell them, hey, we're all grounded. And I do see that in the way, why does this always look crooked over here? It's definitely not. Oh well. But if we are, sorry, it drives me crazy. But as far as, do we all want to go lockdown? I don't think so. I think that's a way of making us, again, more dependent. I'm not a huge fan of this. I do think there's something else going on behind the scenes. But I do also think people are getting hurt and people are getting sick. So there's that aspect of it as well. I do believe there are actually some people getting sick. Do I believe it's what all the numbers are predicting and showing? No, I don't. That's me. Do I think some people are getting sick and having issues? Yeah, I know several people. But we are also hearing stories of people getting into car accidents. They were tested positive for corona and they're leaving that a corona death.
Yeah, I think for people who have underlying conditions, you know, it should be definitely something that's taken. In fact, I personally have someone in my life who survived cancer 4 times, so obviously he's at high risk. So I have that perception. I'm coming from that space where I'm not just I'm not thinking of how is this going to, you know, affect me by being locked down. You know, I'm thinking of this one other person as well. And you know, if you know, he's my husband, so you know, if something should happen, you know, it would be more than devastating. So why not just be cautious?
That's a very fair point. So something else that is interesting in the article that I'm wanting to talk about when people get back is the fact that the Fed is hoping to pay back the loan by what we have in our savings, which comes back to understanding, well, how is that possible? Well, for those of you who are watching on Facebook or don't know anything about fractional reserve lending, you're about to get an education. You ready? All right. So let's say that you have $100 in the bank, okay? Or let's make it an even $1,000, okay, 1,000 right now. You have $1,000. Well, by law, the bank is required to keep a percentage of that in the bank. So they would have to keep $100 in their reserves, and they can lend out $900. Does that make sense so far? You're the only one on the call, so you can say yes anytime.
Yeah, but you also remember.
Michael. Yes.
Thank you.
It takes the time to unmute, okay?
Okay, I get it. Okay, it's just us. You don't have to mute yourself. So now you have $900 that the bank can now lend out. So now let's say Michael's going to get a $900 loan. Michael is now going to use that loan to get, say, a laptop, okay? So he's going to spend that money to get a $900 laptop. At that point, say that Leanne, who was on here, she's the one that bought the laptop. She's now going to deposit that $900 into her bank account. Of course, 10% of that has to be saved. So she's going to have access, the bank will have access to no, I just said that wrong. No, I said that right. $891, correct? Yeah, $891 that they can now lend out, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So now you have, in just that example, you have from the $1,000 initial deposit, right? You have $1,000, a $900 loan, which is now being acted, and then another deposit of $900 where they're keeping 10%. So now you have over, you've over $1,900 in play. That's helped stimulate the economy based off of a $1,000 deposit. I believe it's 1,900 and it's closer to $2,000. It just keeps doubling the money over and over again. Don't ask me to do math. Dancer works for a living. If you want something really interesting, go on YouTube and type in fractional reserve lending for dummies. It's wonderful. That'll help you understand like how this all works. The bank can keep a smaller portion and then they can keep lending out. Now, the Federal Reserve actually does a lot, makes a lot of money, but the organizations that make the most are actually commercial banks. So take a look at that. There's a whole nother chapter that we'll go into as we're starting to invest. Okay, so we're about to be done with our breakout rooms. I wonder what they've gotten accomplished. Michael, were you helping with the rental market? Is that what you were doing?
No, I'm actually talking with potential contractors on a mobile home I'm helping.
Oh.
So, and I'm watching my stock.
You're watching your stock over there?
Yeah, I have two screens. I see you here and then I see my stocks there.
When you over here, you're pointing over there. That's how it works. I understand. Yeah, works, yeah. So congratulations on the mobile home. That's wonderful. You sent that one to us. Yay. I actually also sent it to be analyzed, the house that you sent us. I also sent it to our, you sent us to the one that you sent me an email this morning. I sent to our Dallas Castaway team to take a look at and analyze that as well. So
I have another one. I took video of that one we spoke about on the phone too. Just quick side rabbit hole.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So I got to get that uploaded. You want that on a like Google Drive? Because it's, you know, it's a large file.
Sure. Yes, Google Drive is fine. You know, I like things when they're big.
Like your personality.
Like my vocabulary.
Like your personality.
Like my personality, sure, yeah. Like my father. It's fine.
Hey.
Hey, you coming back?
I'm here. I'm listening to you. I'm just working. I got gloves and mortar everywhere.
Mm-hmm. He's on his knees trying to get things hot on the floor.
Hey, got to make a buck somehow on your knees. What are you going to do?
$20 is $20. Coming down to Florida.
I ain't that good yet.
Down here. Just saying. How's Missy doing?
She's doing good. Still hasn't made her transition to real estate, but she's got a couple other houses that she's listed for sale right now, and some clients she's working with, so she's doing pretty good.
She hasn't made a transition to real estate, but she's got other listings. Okay, she's doing she's doing something pretty well.
She's still working. She's still a manager at the bank. Nothing's open, so she can't train nobody, and she doesn't want to just leave them and screw the bank.
Well,
so real estate's just nighttime thing, I guess, for her right now.
I'm glad you guys are actually making some progress, which I'm loving. I really do love. Okay, we are going to go ahead and bring everyone back. You guys ready? Derek, Bo, you guys ready? No? We got some flow bits over there. Let's see what goes on. All right, we'll give you guys 2 more minutes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Join breakover, let's see. 2 minutes. Broadcast message off. 2 minutes. I don't know. This is so cool. I didn't know I could do this. Feel the power. So we are going to be doing a live event, but it's not going to happen in August like we expected. However, we are going to be going over to your neck of the woods there, Michael. August 22nd. Yep. Yeah, we're having a elite reunion, a legacy reunion. Yes, I just found out about this. Call Angie Sednick. She's the one doing it, but we're going to have it all together.
Where exactly?
If I knew the details, I'd give them to you. They're all going to work it out. I don't know.
And when you say my neck of the woods, you just mean West Coast, or do you mean like Fort Myers, Cape Coral?
Isn't it all the same thing? For me, the West Coast, it's like Florida. You know, you got Miami, you got Palm Beach, there's Fort Lauderdale somewhere. Other coast, I think you might have something like St. Petersburg, or is that over there? Who knows? It's not really.
It's over here. Yeah.
In Augustine. Then over there, you've got Tampa and Old People. That's all I think about. That's in my map. That's all I've got. There's Tampa and Old People. Somewhere there's Naples.
You're not far off.
Yeah. So it's over there.
Mm-hmm.
On that side. Yeah, I don't know, but Angie's playing together with Heather, so probably close to where you worked. Just saying.
Oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
it's gonna be
I'm
good.
in.
I think so. Michael, man, are you gonna come down and join us? It's okay. He's on his knees again.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, party. So you like my little subtle bling today? Just trying to do something a little quieter.
Bling, bling.
Bling,
Look at
bling.
you go.
Thank you. You still feel dressed and not exposing yourself, even though my shirt's torn and my tits are out. It's great. Boom. You like that? That's right, bad boy. All right, let's go ahead and end those breakout rooms. Here we go. They're coming back in. But here we go.
All right.
Oh, they're going to close in 58 seconds. Dear God, how does that work? That's annoying. Well, I thought I wanted to do it right away. Moving on. All right, let's see. Does anybody have any questions? Hey, Fred, I'm so glad you're actually here and paying attention. And oh, so glad. Which I need to call you. I need to find out what's going on with your product. So, welcome home, Leanne. Okay. Here we are. Perfect. You have 30 seconds. They're going to be ready to go. I love they get a countdown. How cool is that? I love it. I've never done breakout rooms like this. This is very cool. I think I can change her to a different room. I should have. Okay, so we're going to see exactly how good their skills at Real Estate Survivor have gone. Now, I don't expect perfect. I don't expect to have anything done. But we're going to see how far they've come. All right, here we go. Liberty and the pursuit of happiness is what they were saying. Welcome back, everybody. How is that for speed real estate?
Hello.
Hello. So let's see what we got accomplished so far. Anita's going to be taking her own notes because this is for her deal, right? But we're going to see how much she has discovered. So let's go ahead and start with the, how much were you able to discover, Stephanie, about the mortgage?
So thanks to Anita's expertise in the market and also understanding the area and how they work, especially credit unions, we kind of made it as we look, using our resources like, PropStream, RESS, we were able to kind of look at what we think the value might be. We did reverse engineer it. We opened up our mortgage calculators and just, did numbers like that. We believe because it's a credit union, it's a 20-year amortization schedule. And we found that there might be about, it looks like the mortgage was about $275K from what we're kind of getting in our resources. So we believe that if they stop paying about, end of last year, that they're probably about, all in with the legal fees and everything, about $170K owed for the bank to at least make exactly what they gave out to purchase the property a few years ago. So that's kind of what we think was $162, and then about $5,000 to $8,000 for legal fees and just administration fees. We're thinking $170K is their bare minimum break-even point, and still take a loss because the bank is still probably going to take a loss.
And when the bank takes a loss, is that to their benefit or to their detriment?
It's to their benefit.
Well, there you go. Because the bank never loses money. So unfortunate. Okay, so we're thinking that we are about 170,000 would be the bare minimum, the absolute lowest that they could take, correct? Okay, so now that we know that, that's powerful information. Is it not, Anita? Yes, girl? I think so. There's a delay.
What was, you kind of broke up.
I said that's powerful information, isn't it?
Yes. So one of the things that I want to point out that came up in the discussion, guys, was whenever they did the research to find out what the amount of the foreclosure was, is what they found was that it actually showed up that this mortgage was done on a 5-year loan, which means that their payment would have been well over $5,000 a month, and this, that, and the other. Okay, so knowing this area, being a more conservative. Yeah, so it looked like it was on a 5-year or 60-month loan. That is not typical. So what I told them is, let's look at it from 2 different angles. Because it being a credit union, it was probably done in-house, which means it wasn't sold off as like a 30-year loan would be. All right. So there may be a chance that that is just information that got incorrectly scooped up from the county records. Okay. And it could actually be a 5-year adjustable rate mortgage, meaning that their loan payment's fixed for 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, they got to renew the notes. Okay. So if it was a 5-year adjustable rate mortgage, that means to make the credit union whole is going to be closer to $260,000. So there's a huge difference there. All right. So in our discussions, what we talked about was, well, what would be the minimum you would offer, and how do you know, was it really truly a 60-month loan on the house, or was it a 240-month loan on the house with a 5-year arm? Okay. And how you know is, like, if you go in and it's like, what if I went in and I offered them 170, 185, and then they respond and say, well, that won't make us whole. Then that tells me then it's probably was an adjustable rate mortgage done off of a 5-year arm, and then the amount that they're going to need to make them whole is probably going to be closer to $260,000. And how much of a loss are they willing to take?
Interesting. Okay, so what do we find about the neighborhood? Pam and your team, go for it.
Okay, so this particular house seems to be consistently tracking higher than the values of the houses around it. The houses around it are more like in the 200s. They possibly may be being redone, and now, you know, they're coming up in value. These bigger houses, some of them have tracked way over 300. I mean, it's a little hard without walking the actual community to see, or looking at the listings, you know, the individual listing. And I need more than 20 minutes to do that. That's like real, you know, you got to dive in, because you can see that some of the houses, and they could be the original price they paid, 164, and then 364. That's a vast difference.
Definitely it's tough for that because they have such privacy laws. So macroeconomically, what is going on in the neighborhood? If we're able to find anything out there?
As far as, well, I mean, it's a it's definitely a family area. Medium age is 35 to 54. Kids are mainly in elementary school and middle school. As far as, hold on, I think I'm in the wrong, no. I mean, it looks like a very family-orientated community that's solid. Hold on, let me see. We have the median house sale is, it's coming up all over the place. And I broke it down to just the few, okay, she's shaking her head, yes. Because we went around the country club. We stayed south of that major road and east of the other one. And I didn't go all the way, but
it's got a lot of stuff nearby, small businesses, churches, schools. It's a really good area. It's got what was it?
But the median size house is not the size of this house. This house is off the charts. But there's a few of them over there like that, right, Anita? There's like a couple that have been really, really big. Go ahead.
Yes. So actually, by staying south of the main road there, okay, by staying south of and staying east of the roads there, you hit the nail on the head there, because that is the Delwood Park area. That whole area there, you've got everything in that neighborhood close to that park, everything from your single family houses that start in the high 100s There's duplexes in that
There's
area. And then
duplexes,
there's
yeah.
some streets that have some streets have much larger homes. Okay. So this particular street that this house is
Fleming.
on has been, Fleming. If you go to the end of Fleming on Google Maps and you look, you'll see about a half a dozen very large stately homes that a bunch of doctors have decided to build houses there at the end of the streets. So across the street, you got a normal size house, and the house next to it's over 4,000 square feet, right? So you do have very much
And then there's a
mixture of properties in here.
Right, and then there's a duplex on the next street over. A couple of them. It was like, oh my gosh. You have to cherry pick to do a comp. Yeah.
So speaking of,
you do. You really do.
So speaking of the cherry picking and duplex and things like that, what did we learn about the rental market? Who's on our rental market team? Derek, Maximum Derek, and who else?
Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah.
All right, what'd you guys learn?
All right. Well, according to the estimate, we have. I'm going on 2 screens. The rentals estimate was 2,700. Realtor.com rental estimate was 1,989, and myrentrates.com was 2,700 a month. On 5-bedroom, over 1.5 bath. And moving.com says neighborhood median days on market is 62 days is what we got.
So what does that tell you about the rental market in that area?
I don't know.
Sorry, what does Dom mean again? Dom?
Days on market. Or do
Hi.
Well, it depends on if you're talking to me or Jacob.
We're gonna keep real estate.
Or Jessica, or
or Bo, or Michael.
Rude. Everybody.
All y'all. The little sweet baby Jesus. We're gonna call this Whips and Chains Real Estate Group next time.
Oh, that's a good name. I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Everybody's apparently we're getting votes for it. If you like the name, raise your hand. Bo raised his too. He just doesn't want to show it on camera. Anyway, so Jamie's saying yes. So
it's whipping real estate into shape.
whipping real estate is not on its own. I like it. Anyway, so so the rental market, the rental ranges are quite specific.
Watch out.
Sorry, you see, everybody look at Jessica.
Yeah.
She's used to that expression. What? I don't know what you're talking about. She just walks around with that. Just it's for feather dusting.
Yes.
OMG, Jessica.
Well,
just a way to whip the client into shape.
That's one way to whip us into shape, right? Yeah.
She's in Colorado. She has to ride horses. You need to whip sometimes. Just let it go.
Anita, did everything take a dive in April out there? Is that when everything hit out there?
Actually, whenever, you had the COVID thing going on, that really what caused a disruption in this area was when crude prices crashed.
That's right.
That was February.
Yeah. So when
February,
crude
March.
prices, when crude prices crashed, that was actually COVID started surfacing. We were in lockdown, and when crude prices dropped to negative, that's when people in this area really clammed up, because there was a lot of oil and gas industry and secondary industries that support the oil and gas market in this part.
Because
it plummeted. Okay.
We have a very interesting discussion about the petrodollar in one of our earlier episodes. So if you want to go and see that, look on our library under Party Chatter Replays, and you will see it there with Anita and myself talking about what that meant for the dollar. And we weren't wrong. Wow, a lot of stuff is happening. So moving on from that. Anita, with all this information that you've gathered, what else do you need? Has this been helpful, and what have you taken away?
So it's been very helpful, okay? And here's what I'm thinking with this property, all right? I'm thinking that with this property, the best option may not be to fix and flip the property, okay? The best option might actually actually get the property under contract at a deep discount and then turn around and sell it to somebody wanting to invest in property in nice middle class communities in Texas, that they can go into it with a good equity position and cash flow this property as a rental. Because to make it move-in ready, all you gotta do is replace the banister, right? And renters aren't gonna be so picky whether it has a 2-car garage or not, okay? Now, think of it this way. It's like, what if let's say if I got this property under contract, let's just say objectively, I got it under contract for $225,000. Do you think I could sell it maybe to somebody from California or New York that wants to invest with their maybe self-directed IRA that can pay cash for the house and turn around and rent it out for $2,500 to $2,700 a month? Do you think that would be appealing to somebody if they could buy a house for $250,000, that a verifiable ARV of about $350,000? They're increasing their net worth by $100,000. And they are securing their investment by real estate, and they can turn around and they can cash flow that. Y'all didn't expect that.
On that deal.
So basically, just wholesale the home.
Yeah, basically just wholesale it to somebody who is looking for a great investment where they can increase their net worth by taking on an equity position in a property they can cash flow.
But my question is, don't most like when it's an REO, aren't the banks like much more stringent about wholesaling? Like they don't want it. They have it like, especially they're gonna want to use their own contracts. They're not gonna want to let you use your, unless of course you have an established relationship. They might.
That is a great question, and the answer to that is typically yes. But in this case, it's no. And let me explain why it's no. Is because this is a community credit union. This is a loan that they hold in-house. And as long as I present it to them on a Texas Real Estate Commission contract, they will use my contract, okay? If let's say it was a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America or a Chase, they had, all right? But seeing as this is a community credit union, okay, they would most certainly entertain doing that. And I would actually, with these folks, you know, I would be very upfront with them. You know, if we meet on a price point, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to say, okay, I have a couple different ideas for exit strategies. I'm going to want an extended option period for both of these. And I'm going to tell them, I'm going to say, okay, it's got $500,000 liquid that might be interested in this property. If that's the case, then I'll partner with him and his name might be on the closing documents instead of mine. So what did I just tell them I was going to do without them realizing it? I just told them I was going to wholesale it, right?
Wholesale.
And, or I might, and I'm probably say, and if that doesn't work out, you know what, I'll go in and I'll do some of these repairs and convert that garage back to a 2-car garage, and then we'll just flip it and sell it. Either way, I'm going to make about the same amount of money, right? So either way, I'm going to make $20-something thousand net profit off of it. So I would rather make $20,000 net profit off of it and not have to lift a finger.
And that's the key, guys. When everyone talks,
Then do $20,000 and having to do the rehab.
Oh gosh, she's done that.
She's walking. You don't know.
Okay, so that's the thing. I want you guys to just realize what she said.
Jacob.
She delivered. Yes. Oh, smart ass. I'm gonna just mute her right there. Okay, oh, she muted herself. Never mind. That took the fun out of it. So what she just did was she presented the option. She didn't call herself a wholesaler. She didn't call herself a flipper. She just called herself a real estate professional. She is a licensed agent in that area. Her husband's a broker. It doesn't matter. She can do everything legally compliant, and that's what matters. So if you say that you're a wholesaler or you are a lease option expert or you're a flipper, guess what? Stop saying any of that. You are a real estate professional, and you're going to do the thing that's going to make you the most amount of money with the least amount of effort. That's the key. This $20,000 out of the way for you, why not assign the deal or joint venture on the deal and then take that money and let the rest of the work, the heavy lifting, go to someone else who wants that property? Something you guys consider. All right, it is officially 4:15. Guys, in an hour, you analyzed a deal, all of you together, and you shared the knowledge. You helped give an investor the data that she needed to go ahead and move forward. And do you see how you did not get stuck in your head? You just had to get a task done, and you only had a very short amount of time to do it. Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. That's the value of working with a team, all right? All of you contributed. It was not one person standing out over the other. It was everyone doing this together. So now Anita's gonna go and present her offer. She's probably gonna do a little more DD for herself, but she's gonna go and present the offer and we're gonna find out what it's accepted at, hopefully soon. We wish her the best for that. Now, don't forget that this is just one phase of the foreclosure process. Had the homeowners come to her beforehand, she could have done even more with it. So if you have anybody who's coming down, they're having difficulty with their homes, let us know here on Investor Party. Remember, we're expecting between 800,000 to 1.7 million foreclosures between Q4 and Q1, unless the government intervenes. They probably will. This still doesn't mean our people are going to need our help. So get ready for that. On Wednesday, we are going to have Peter Medalik, who is Eva's husband, coming and talking about how they are investing in multifamily properties, apartment complexes, portfolios of homes, and how they've shifted from student housing to rehab housing in the wake of Corona. So we're going to be talking to him on Wednesday, and we're going to have a great time with it. For those of you who are doing Real Estate Survivor, don't forget we are going to be doing some of our marketing, automating our marketing starting tomorrow night. So be ready for that as well. You also have homework that was put under your, Derek? It was put under what tab on Investor Party? The homework, the to-do list. The
Assignment, was it?
Assignment.
It's called assignments. I thought it was called to-do, but whatever.
It is something along those lines.
I think it's your party to-dos, whatever it is. So check a look there and look at your homework, get that done. And on that note, guys, thank you for being here. And we wish you party planning tasks, let's call it. We will see you guys on Wednesday. Stay safe out there and go make some success happen. Mwah! Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, Anita.
Bye. Thank you, guys.